Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast with your host, John Dabari.
I mean, I can beat the shit out of Hollywood Brown if you'd like.
Matt Walker.
Like the DK Metcalf of running back.
And Andrew Berg.
I love Hakeem Butler, actually. He's starting to grow on me.
Remember to like, rate, subscribe on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Follow the guys on Twitter at the Fantasy 40. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast. We are back. Myself, Andrew Burke, John Dabari, and Matt Walker. We are in the playoff push, the semis, for most leagues. Some of you guys probably start in your first league if you're one of those weird ones that do all 17 weeks.
Don't be those people.
Yeah, you need to hurry up and make the change, right, John?
Or 10-teamers. Some 10-teamers, only, 4 teams are getting in the playoffs, so last week and this week.
Whatever.
Or, I'm sorry, this week and next week.
I remember my first beer, too. But, Walk, you agree with me, right, since John doesn't?
100%. John had me confused last week when he talked about not having playoffs start until this week, because even in 10-team leagues, let 6 teams make the playoffs, gives 2 teams a bye.
Yeah. Sorry if that offends you.
Why would 60% get in? It's unfair. It's ridiculous.
50% get in 12-team leagues.
That's fine.
What
That's
random
half.
line of demarcation? Or that's it? No more than half teams get in?
Half is crazy. More than half is nuts.
Speaking
I
of
felt
that,
like I was being a little ridiculous with 60%, but
just to give you
reeled me back in.
a little update on the Fantasy 40 fellas. I Walk twice in 2 different leagues this week. John, the winner of me and Walk, will probably face you in the finals next week. So we're doing big things at the 40. Pretty successful all around.
Well, and I'm playing John in another league of ours this
correct.
week. So this is the only people not playing each other this week are you two fine gentlemen.
Yeah.
I got matches against both of you.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about that one, but we'll see how it shakes out this weekend. Anyways, so what we're here for today is to help you out with the semifinals, or as John would say, the first round in a 10-team league playoff round.
Third round in a 32-teamer.
Right?
All right.
So
started in week 13 in one league.
Oh, I mean, my phone was blowing up this weekend from our main man Walk saying, I called my shot on this guy. Oh, and then this guy. So Walk had a good week last week with the likes of A.J. Brown. Who was another one, Walk?
Raheem Mostert. I was. Oh, God, I love being right.
Guys like Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon had big weeks, but I kind of want to get into the running back position first, just because they carried your team last week, but the Bears and the Packers face off, and then the Patriots and Bengals. John, I'll give you Aaron Jones, and then I'll give Walk Mixon. But out of those 2 guys, I mean, what do you see for Aaron Jones going against the Bears? Do you think he can repeat, or because it is a stout run defense?
It's a trick question. I mean, can he? Yes, he has the talent and the skill to put up another good week. However, we've seen for years now through 2 coaches, they don't award your previous good week. So LaFleur could make this a Jamal Williams game, and as much as Aaron Jones helped you week 1 of the playoffs, he's going to bury you this week. So I mean, I'm rolling him out there, but I'm tentatively scared.
Well, how comfortable are you? I mean, what do you gauge his outcome as? I mean, I know it's kind of hard, but is he RB1, or are you thinking more of an RB2 land? I mean, it's rough.
Stop wavering, John. He's an RB1.
The upside is obviously there if they give him the ball. The question is, will they do it? We've seen good things when they give him the ball. He performs and the team wins, but they don't, for whatever reason, they don't give a fuck about him or anybody's fantasy teams. And, if he came out and was a 50-50 split and Williams got the red zone work, it wouldn't be shocking. We've seen it. But obviously, if you've got this far with him, you're not going to bench him this week. So you have to ride it out. If he's the cause of your early exit from the playoffs, it's going to be it be what it be.
Right. My thing is it's just with the limited amount of touches. I mean, the guy killed it last week, and even with the 50-50 split, you can see the difference all year if you go to the stat lines with him and Williams on who's more productive. So it just blows my mind that we're still talking about this in year 3 with Aaron Jones. But in the same spot, we'll go to Joe Mixon against the New England Patriots, coming off of a tough game. But Mixon himself had a good game. What do you think's going to happen there against the Patriots?
First off, to John's point, before we go into me talking highly about Mixon, the Bears are the 11th ranked run defense, DVOA. So they're not even that stout anymore, and they've been losing bodies left and right. They don't have Akeem Hicks or Danny Trevathan. The only thing holding Aaron Jones back is Matt LaFleur. So,
and Raquan.
They just lost Roquan Smith. Yeah, torn pec. Yeah, so they're gutted up the middle. This should be a huge spot for Aaron Jones, but you're right. Once we get comfortable with Aaron Jones, he lays an absolute egg. I think Aaron Jones gets targets, he's hyper effective. You know, it's when he doesn't get targets in the passing game. So he did his dirt on the ground this past week, but I think when they involve him in the passing game, it keeps him in there a lot more. So hopefully that happens again, because we all love Aaron Jones here. But I'll jump to Mixon real quick, and I'm in on Mixon again. Mixon, I think, he'd be under Aaron Jones for me. If I had to do it, I'd select Aaron Jones. Better offense, likely more positive game script than the Bengals should face after the Patriots cheated and were stealing all of the Bengals' super secret plays, via their Do Your Job production team last week. But my thought on the Bengals is, the Patriots can't score on anybody. Like they've played variable, difficulties of competition the last couple of weeks, and they're just not a high-powered offense anymore. They're grinding out everything they get. So I don't think they're going to go up and bury the Bengals, to be totally honest with you. They'll beat them. They'll probably cover whatever spread is there. John usually knows more than me. 9.5, so less than a 10-point spread going to Cincinnati against one of the worst teams in the NFL. That's somewhat insulting to the Patriots, to be honest with you, but I agree with it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a touchdown to a 10-point game, which will keep Mixon involved, and you can run on the Patriots. Patriots aren't a good run defense. They're a great pass defense.
I know both of those guys are in the RB1 territory, so, if you got those guys, you're probably most likely starting them. Either way, I just kind of wanted your guys' takes on those, because those are kind of tough matchups if you're in your semifinals. I'm not feeling confident I'm getting at least, 15 to 22 points out of those guys. It could go really either way. You could go 4 or you could get 33 from Aaron Jones. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. But quite a few running backs got banged up. Your boy Rashad Penny went down with a serious knee injury. So that means Carson's going to be toting the rock from here on out. And hopefully he can stay healthy for your teams, because he doesn't have such a good track record late in the year as well. Do we know anything about Derrick Henry, though? That's the one I'm concerned about with the hamstring.
He's had that hamstring for weeks now. He's been super limited, from his practice reps at this point in the year, but he still gets out there. And like I said on last week's podcast, he's getting you 2 touchdowns against those Oakland Raiders. And by God, if he did still pull it off, didn't get the 150 yards I called for, but got the 2 touchdowns. He's been playing less and less snaps these last couple of weeks, but they blew the Raiders out, which is probably why that happened. Who's Tennessee play this week? Tennessee plays Houston. I don't think he's going to be able to have a light workload. This is a big game for Tennessee at home against Houston. I think you still fire up Derrick Henry, and I'd probably still expect a baseline of 80 and a touchdown from him in that game, because they're going to want to run the ball and keep Houston on the sideline.
I mean, off subject, has there been another guy where people have been so high on him and then they throw him in the dumpster and they pull him back out, and now he's RB maybe 3 overall in Dynasty right now? I mean, Derrick Henry has been on a roller coaster ride since coming into the NFL.
They're just grinding him in the dust.
The old DeMarco Murray treatment.
In Tennessee. I think he's short-lived, the way they're running him.
John, IDP guys, would you say go pick up Ryan Tannehill? Did you see that hit he put on Arden Key?
Oh, yeah.
Maurice Hurst.
Was it Hurst?
Yeah, he dropped that. That dude's like 320 too. Dropped him like a sack of potatoes.
Looked like
huge.
Oh man.
But I did see Ryan Tannehill after that.
John,
all aboard.
Did see some interesting. Myles Gaskin might get a little more work. Is that somebody you would roll out in the deeper flex leagues?
He's a rookie. Your team's going nowhere. You just spent a draft pick on him. Why wouldn't you kick the wheels a little bit here to close the year? Which, I mean, truth be told, they haven't so far. So there is a reason. We just don't know what it is. So it would be interesting to see him actually get more touches. I don't know if he's necessarily a game changer, but I think Walks mentioned in a couple leagues he's in. The injuries have hit him hard to close the year. He could be, not this week because you don't trust him, but if they roll him out a little bit this week and he looks okay or gets some volume in the passing game, he could be, for teams that are squeaking by in injuries, he could actually be in some starting lineups next week for championships.
There's no analysis behind this, but the reason that Myles Gaskin is not starting is because you mentioned it, John. I am starting Patrick Laird in 2 fantasy playoffs this week because I have been decimated by injury. The most recent, the aforementioned Rashad Penny injury, who was my last remaining bastion of hope in a decimated running back room. I thought he was finally breaking out, and then he goes and tears his ACL. So I do not want Myles Gaskins to happen. He can happen in 2020 all he wants because Patrick Laird's not long for the NFL. But I need like 5 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown from Patrick Laird this week.
Well, let's talk about that breakout running back. My guy for this week will be Walker's team, Miles Sanders, squaring off against the Washington Redskins. They are in a tight race with the Dallas Cowboys, and I think they need a heavy dose of Miles Sanders for once. Walk, what do you think?
Listen, if anyone watched that, fire show that was Monday Night Football with Eli Manning and Carson Wentz doing it in the rain through overtime, I watched the whole thing. It was painful. Miles Sanders left dehydration, but he got thoroughly outplayed by Boston Scott. In that game, Boston Scott looked electric, not even running the ball, but just out in space on a lot of dump offs. The Eagles have 1 healthy wide receiver of note at present, so there will be a lot of running going on against the Washington Redskins, and I think the Redskins will be doing the same. So Sanders should break out if he can keep his ass on the field, but I think a sneaky play is Boston Scott, to be totally honest with you. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he is – they scheme him into a half dozen receptions and probably give him 6 or 8 carries as well, even barring a Miles Sanders injury. So he could be looking at 12 to 15 touches.
I do like that. The only reason I didn't jump on the incident in Boston Scott is I've seen quite a few Philly guys coming out saying, why do they run Sanders into 8-man fronts, but when Boston Scott gets a good look, they're scheming him. But I think it's just, how the game played out. The last running back I want to talk about is Josh Jacobs. John, I'm not going to give it to Walk. Washington came in and was pretty viable if you started DeAndre Washington on a whim last week. He looked decent. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Jacobs. Do you have any info? And what do you think is going to happen there in Oakland when they're squaring off against the Jaguars?
It's a perfect Raiders scenario where their possible offensive rookie of the year is looking outstanding, and he's got relatively speaking, a significant bone injury, if not anything else. So yeah, let's run him out there with his years lost and try to beat the shit out of him and ruin the rest of his career like he did to Cadillac Williams. So I'm not. I don't like trusting my rookie running backs with John Gruden anymore.
Yeah, the old Cadillac Williams treatment. Walk, what do you got to add for your boy?
Listen, if he's on the field, you're starting him. Supposedly he got shot up pregame and wanted to play last week, and they told him he wasn't allowed, and he was crying in the locker room. Which, listen, the dude loves football. He wants to play. He wants to be out there. He said he's playing this week. I trust that he's playing this week. If he's active, I'm starting him because he's been dealing with this injury for weeks, and they're going against Jacksonville, who is just about the best matchup for any running back. Probably the last 5 years. Jacksonville is totally tapped out on the season. Everyone is running all over them at will. I mean, fucking John's boy Austin Eckler had 200 all-purpose on him on 12 touches. Like they're just
2-2.
Yeah, they're done. They don't care. They can say it all they want. They're just trying not to get hurt and run the string out for the season. But listen, you're talking about Washington and playing last week. He had 6 catches last week. You know how many catches fucking Josh Jacobs has on the year?
13.
18. Washington had 1/3 of Josh Jacobs' entire season of catches in 1 week. I still can't fucking fathom why they refuse to use him as a pass catcher, and then the backup comes in and gets peppered, gets 7 targets and 6 catches.
Hey, maybe
he's doing it to piss me off. That's
the Raiders on Twitter.
Possible. So angry.
Let's shift gears. Let's go to the wide receiver position. All the big names this year are starting to really disappoint. We always know Julio's not going to get a bunch of touchdowns, but the yards aren't there anymore either. I know he's banged up all year. It's just a tough situation. Then Ridley goes down in Atlanta. John, what's going on in Atlanta? Are you starting any of those receivers out there?
Oh, God, no. They are, even when the Falcons were bad, at least they were still viable for fantasy production, and that has not really been the case this year. I mean, there's obviously a few games here and there, but they've been pretty awful. I mean, Ridley is currently wide receiver 14. Julio's wide receiver 15. So they've obviously been playable, but where you drafted Julio, you were expecting more than wide receiver 15 numbers. If you have other options, roll them out. But again, like I said earlier, if you got this far with Julio, you're going to plug him in this lineup unless you hit on guys like Chris Godwin or other guys late in drafts who are performing. So you just know when you plug him in your lineup, he can get you a goose egg just as easy. He could get you 30.
Walk, anything to add there in that Atlanta situation?
Yeah, well, listen, Atlanta put up some points last week, and even Brian Hill, the fantasy football, fire starter, got in the action last week. Devontae Freeman looked like he turned the clock back, but without any Calvin Ridley, you have to think Julio is going to get 12, 15 targets in this game. They are going against San Fran, who should be a bad matchup, but Sherman's not playing, and I think another player on defense. D Ford's out. Don't know who else they're missing, but they're a little undermanned on their defense, and Atlanta's going to be throwing the football. So, you can't be hesitant to throw Julio out there. I mean, this might set up for it to be his best game of the season. They'll be chasing points, from the opening kickoff.
Yep. No, they're down in San Fran, it looks like. So 1 o'clock start there. It'd be nice to see one of those 200-yard Julio games before the season ends. But I also wanted to go to the Colts situation. We had to wait this week to see how all that was going to shake out because they're kind of like in the Patriots situation. They have Julian Edelman, the Patriots do, but that was about it. Colts are in the same boat. Anybody stand out that you would roll out this week, John, if you're desperate?
I mean, through attrition, through people just disappearing, Zach Pascal has emerged as their number one, and he's been good enough for fantasy purposes to play every week. I know I've used him in a couple leagues this year for a few weeks here now. At running back, Jonathan Williams made his little appearance, got everybody excited because there were a lot of people who liked him coming out. Mack came back healthy, and Williams, disappeared into thin air. So I think Mack is as healthy as he's going to be. They used him enough last week to make him fantasy viable. I would be confident rolling him out if I had no other options. And Brissett is middle of the pack. Ebron is out for the year. Did Doyle do much last week?
Nope.
I know I saw him, but I feel like I saw him drop a pass.
2 for 27.
Yeah.
Laid an egg in a huge spot against the Bucs.
Yes. So you're going with Pascal. You're going with Mack. I think Hines ended up leading the team in touches, actually, but
he didn't even have that.
Do you trust him?
Yeah.
Not much.
Not correct. Hines had 8 touches.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Mack had 13.
There wasn't much there to be had. I was just curious. It seems like both of you are on the same page. If you have some kind of better option, get out of Indy there in the wide receiver department.
Yeah, listen, I said pick up Zach Pascal last week, and he returned on that investment, but I'm not sure you want to continue to ride that string. Although, much like Atlanta, we were just talking about, Indy's going to be chasing points right out of the gate on Monday Night Football on the turf in New Orleans. So I wouldn't be he's still like a wide receiver 3 type flex. I wouldn't think he should be scratching your top 2. But they re-signed Dontrell Inman as well, who was with them earlier in the season. That's right. I think he immediately slots in as their number 2 above Marcus Johnson. So super deep leagues. I think Inman's someone you could play.
If the Saints put Lattimore on Pascal, your Inman take isn't far off because who else are they going to throw to? Pascal's not good enough to smoke Lattimore. Even if he gets peppered with targets, he's going to maybe get 80 yards if we're getting nuts. He's not going to get in the end zone.
Yeah.
Inman's going to end up getting the work.
Super cheap,
especially if they. I don't know what Inman had played with the team earlier, but if he's in the slot and gets P.J. Williams, I will be very happy with Inman.
Speaking of somebody you could be pretty happy with, I think it was John's guy, Mr. Slayton for the New York Giants, has got the Dolphins this week. This is an automatic start, correct, Walk?
Yeah, I mean, I did not see it happening. Listen, we were on we were texting back and forth, the three of us, and I thought Slayton would just get lost because Eli wasn't going to throw anything deep, and he threw one deep ball and busted coverage. The other touchdown was just poor tackling, but stats are stats, and 5 for whatever 150 something, 2 touchdowns. Good for John starting him. I don't think you can expect that again, but he is playing Miami, so anything's possible. You started him last week and you won. You're definitely not taking him out of your lineup this week.
Yeah, and he's in a great matchup. I mean, like you said, it's Miami. The thing is, he's emerging. He's a better wide receiver than I thought going into the year, and I did tout him quite a bit. He was a guy that I thought would be kind of like a best ball guy, where he's gonna like a new Ted Ginn. You know what I mean? Where he's gonna pop like for the 5 for 130 and 2, or he's gonna get you nothing. But since he's come back and been healthy, and luckily for him, the Giants have had some injuries at the position with Shepard getting his brain scrambled and Tate, same thing, plus missing time early in the year. Ingram missing time. He has got his opportunity and looked pretty good with it. I'm super happy. I just saw a Twitter poll what his worth is in trade value, and half the votes were for a first next year, and the other half were for a second, which is wild.
I'm moving him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
for his route back.
Although he did look explosive on his hitch route when he caught that, turned around and just sprinted past everybody into the end zone. It was quite impressive. I mean, the speed's there. I think he has all the tools, but with the guys coming in, you definitely want to get rid of that for a first if you can. I would.
Yeah, dude's super fast. You can't teach speed.
I guess, yeah.
There's not a lot standing in his way in that offense either, so.
As long as Gilmore is not on him this week, I think my sneaky play is going to be Tyler Boyd for Cincinnati. I just think, he's getting all the looks. There's no one else there really that's getting it. Joe Mixon isn't heavily involved. Neither is, I don't even know. Is Bernard still alive in Cincinnati?
He is. He's done.
He's still cashing checks. So.
I have not
true.
Heard a word from Giovanni Bernard this year. He did not make it out of the
54.
He did not make it out of the fantasy pet cemetery like we all wanted him to. He's still in there.
Listen, I didn't want him to because that would have hurt Mixon, but it wasn't. It wasn't because it wasn't his fault that Mixon suffered early in the year.
And then, so that was my sneaky play. But John, give you a little hometown love here, even though you don't live in Seattle. I know that's your squad. What are you making of the wide receivers there? I mean, Lockett was locked in to be the number one, and he did perform for a few weeks in a row, and now the ball is getting spread out quite a bit.
Just to go real back to Cincinnati quick, Gio is running back 61, by the way. That injury to Lockett going to Seattle, the injury to Lockett really seems to have shaken up everything there because they were peppering Lockett with targets, and he was performing most of the season. Then, Metcalf was showing off in some flashes here and there, kind of what we expected. And then, they stopped targeting Lockett so much. I don't think he's healthy still, and it seems to affected the whole passing game. I don't have an answer. I mean, David Moore's had a few good games, and Jerron Brown makes a sighting, and the other can't even think of the other guy's name.
Hollister,
these other
getting a lot of looks.
These fringe guys, Hollister ended up emerging. Josh Gordon's been on a milk carton, as you guys like to say. So unless Lockett, it seems without Lockett being healthy, they don't really have a system in place. They need him to be healthy enough to at least be their number one and hit him with enough targets that defenses have to do something to compensate for that, and then that helps open up some of the other guys. But without him in the lineup being himself, this offense has looked pretty lost the last 2-3 weeks here.
Yeah, it's definitely confusing. Walk, I had a question. Not to go back to running backs, I'm going to consider this guy a wide receiver. With Darius Guice going to the IR, Chris Thompson, startable?
Yeah, in PPR, 100% against the Eagles. Super stout run defense should limit Adrian Peterson. They're probably going to be playing catch up, would be my assumption, even though they're only, I think, a 4.5 point dog at home, the Redskins. So, that's insulting and embarrassing for my Eagles. But nonetheless, Thompson is going to be the complimentary back to AP, and he's probably going to get the same amount of opportunity in the passing game that he got last week. So there's no reason he can't get another 5 or 6 catches, gets 40, 50, 60 yards and get a touchdown. He'll take the 12 to 13 points without the touchdown in PPR.
Right. All right. So quarterback time. You'll go first, Walk. Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson?
No, listen, we were talking about Russell Wilson a second ago, and I'd say Tyler Lockett got hurt, but also it was kind of the emergence of Rashad Penny led to a lot of the regression in Tyler Lockett because Seattle went back to being Seattle and running the ball and not airing it out. So who knows what they'll have to do at Carolina this week. Well, they should be able to take care of business, but Jameis Winston plays, I'm starting Jameis Winston. I mean, I know he has the cracked bone in his thumb, but he's already gotten clearance and he's practicing, albeit without a football today, which is a little strange and didn't take any of the first-team reps. But they said he's scheduled to play. And if he's on the football field in the Dome against the Detroit Lions, I don't care if Mike Evans isn't playing. Jameis Winston has put up points all year long, and he'll do it again. So I'd be starting Winston.
Same question, John. Wilson or Winston in this playoff setting?
Actually, that in my my main home league, this is the question I have to face this week. I'm going with Russell Wilson because I've rolled him out all year, kind of like I mentioned twice earlier. I got here with him. I'm going to stick with him. The projected total isn't much different. The game is 47 for Tampa and Detroit. Seattle carry 8, so kind of expecting the same thing. Seattle's a bigger favorite.
John, let me talk you out of this, please. Let me get in here.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Chris Carson is going to carry the ball 30 times minimum in this game. CJ Prosise is going to touch the ball. They are just going to run it down the Panthers' throat. Panthers are dog shit run defense. Seattle is packing their bags with their fucking 6 offensive lineman sets, and they're just going downhill all day long on those Panthers. This is going to be an ugly Russell Wilson stat line. You better hope he runs for a touchdown because I promise I will put a lot of confidence in the fact under 2 touchdowns passing for Russell Wilson in this game.
It's not a crazy concept. I don't disagree with you. I am a little concerned about that injury. Like you said, he's not practicing with football, which I've never heard of before for a quarterback. So
he doesn't protect the ball anyway. It's probably for the best that they just don't let him touch it all week. So maybe he starts missing it a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a bad situation to be in, and I'm in it.
Yeah, 2 guys that have kind of underperformed all year long. I'll give you the first one, John. First crack at it since Walk got the last one. Let's go Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff. Walk.
I don't want John to answer yet. I don't want to get too far.
Sorry.
Carolina is the 32nd ranked run defense DVA.
Oh no,
they're the worst.
Wrong.
The worst.
I mean, I could get a Russell Wilson, right? Give me 6.
Chris Carson isn't guaranteed RB1 this week.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So,
sorry,
John.
Couldn't get
Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff?
Who's Mayfield playing? Arizona? Fuck.
In Arizona.
On the road. Oh, boy. This is
Goff's
disgusting.
got those Cowboys and their awesome secondary.
The Rams have been clicking on offense the last couple weeks, so give me Goff.
Walk?
Yeah, I don't disagree. Neither of them run, so there's no advantage there. Both on the road, but both playing in domes, so nice conditions. The Rams have seemed to figure out their identity a little bit, and their identity is absolutely 0 Brandon Cooks, a little bit of Cooper Kupp, and a shitload of Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee. So, they've narrowed that passing tree a ton. They're giving Gurley the touches because they should have all fucking year. Why are we trying to manage people that are only going to play football for 2 or 3 more years? But I think Cleveland's going to try to run the ball, and I'm not so sure that that's going to be the Rams' game plan against Dallas. So I would go with Goff.
All right, here's your follow-up question, Walk. Battle of the rookies here. We'll go with Drew Lock against Gardner Minshew. If you're in Superflex, this would obviously be your QBs too, but we got to help the Superflex people out too. So which one would you rather roll out, Drew Lock or Gardner Minshew? Walk.
It's tough. Both on the road, both significant underdogs, but one is playing a much worse team, and that's Gardner Minshew against Oakland. That being said, I'm probably starting Drew Lock against the Chiefs. He'll be playing catch up from the gate. He's been super impressive thus far. He's got guys to throw the football to, and he's finding them. I'd probably feel more confident in Drew Lock than I would in Gardner Minshew. Again, Jacksonville just doesn't care. The team doesn't care. So I'm not going to hold Minshew responsible.
John, you're rolling with the
and Lock's got the better targets.
Yeah,
He's got Sutton and Fant, and they both look good,
playing, right? Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely
he's questionable with an ankle, but did you see that Deshaun Hamilton actually got some points this week? And it wasn't many. I think he got like 8 something in one of my leagues, and I was surprised that he actually didn't throw up a donut like he has been all year. So maybe Locke is Deshaun Hamilton's new savior, working in the slot there. But you rolling out Locke as well, John? Is that what you said?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
All right. That wasn't. I didn't think he would get a clean sweep off of one game.
You agree?
Do I agree? No. I got to stick with the stash.
Oh, Hamilton got 2 for 36. You got me all excited.
That's good.
I don't know how you got 8 points out of that. It qualifies a tight end.
I don't know. Maybe it was a bonus for a first down or something. Maybe you got a first down. Who knows?
Listen, I don't know what you saw from Minshew going against the Chargers, although with their secondary back, they're pretty formidable. But 162 and a touchdown on 37 attempts. We're talking about a questionable DJ Chark, which was most of that, 9 for 75. No, I want nothing to do with Minshew in the semifinals.
Bounce back game. But
sure.
I pick up what you're putting down. All right, favorite time of the show. We'll go to the tight ends real quick. Walk did come out with a tweet, or did we? The Fantasy 40. Sorry, I didn't mean to, talk.
Oh, pull the curtain back. I don't know where I sent it from.
I am the Wizard of Oz. But he gave you a nice little streaming option before Sunday with Ian Thomas. I did not follow his advice or our advice. My fault again. And gosh darn it, he did pretty dang good. Walk. Is that what we're expecting this week as well? Against Seattle?
Seattle is absolutely terrible against the tight end. But we have to see if Greg Olsen gets back out there. He was, I think, at practice on the side, coming back from that vicious concussion that he sustained. I don't know why he plays football again. Maybe it's just me being greedy about Ian Thomas, but this has to be Olsen's last year. The Panthers are eliminated from the playoffs. Why are you putting yourself back out there? I mean, maybe just not to go out that way. But if if Greg Olsen's inactive, then Ian Thomas is a top 6 tight end again this week.
Either of you gentlemen know how many targets he had last week?
Oh yeah, 9. 10.
10.
Yeah.
10. Yeah.
10
he only caught
targets,
half of them, and he had a vicious drop too, which led to an interception. So it wasn't a banner day for Ian Thomas, but from a fantasy perspective, he was fucking amazing.
It looked good in the points box. That's all that counts, right?
I think another guy, if you're talking tight ends, is I don't see why Mark Andrews plays tomorrow night.
That's what I was going to next.
They are going to absolutely destroy the Jets. We know that Lamar Jackson likes the tight end. You saw what Hayden Hurst did after Andrews went out. Those red locks were flowing as he was galloping down the field for a touchdown. I think if in the event that Mark Andrews is inactive, that Hayden Hurst is a tight end 1. Because I'm not afraid of Nick Boyle. He never leaves the line. Hayden Hurst is going to fill that Mark Andrews role, and that's where Lamar Jackson looks in that offense. So if you don't have a surefire top, guarantee at the tight end position, see if Andrews is out, and if he is, I feel real comfortable putting Hayden Hurst in a tight end.
A guy that's available in a lot of redraft leagues, 12-team or maybe even 10-team, is starting to reemerge after last week. But as you mentioned, Winston's got a banged-up hand. Is O.J. Howard's available in a few of my leagues on waivers. And if you had Andrews go down, I mean, how confident would you be in rolling out Howard this week? I think the matchup's good with the Lions.
Yeah, I feel tremendously comfortable. No Mike Evans.
That's a good point too.
Could live in the red zone for Winston, or even if Ryan Griffin or whatever his name is ends up playing some of the game. Yeah, I mean Howard's a guy that most people left for dead for good reason, but He looked good against Indy last week, and I think he's probably going to be more of the game plan this week. So, yeah, I'd probably get him over Hurst because you know what O.J. Howard's going to be in that offense. You would need Andrews out for Hurst to play. So,
yep.
I like the Howard call a lot.
All right, John, how about Gesicki or Howard this week?
I've got another one after this one.
Okay.
I would go Howard.
Okay. I
for,
think
for all the reasons Walk said, but if you're digging through the depths of waivers, especially in redraft, David Njoku gets the horrific Arizona Cardinals tight end defense this week. Level of confidence.
He's back?
I was going to say, you're asking. He played last week. He finally activated him last week.
I have not tuned in.
3 targets, 1 catch.
My level of confidence in David Njoku, who was a limited participant in Wednesday's practice with a knee injury, is 1. I'm not fucking starting him anywhere. Not in the fantasy playoffs.
I'm gonna have to ride Walk's coattails just because he's never wrong about those tight ends. He's usually spot on. His boy Jared Cook got 2 touchdowns before he concussed himself on that tough catch in the back of the end zone, or non-catch, whatever you want to call it there, Walk. So
listen, John's bad juju finally hit Jared Cook in the feels. He's just too busy sticking it to him all year that the NFL gods had to go and ruin it for me and give him a concussion. So you can't sit on him either. If you have him, he's Monday Night Football. I wouldn't feel at all comfortable that he's going to be playing. So all these tight ends we're talking about right now, I would be picking them up and trying to get a pretty strong sense of where Cook's head is, no pun intended, in advance of the Sunday games and make the switch. I'd probably be starting Howard over Cook.
Yeah, I mean, tight end has turned into a real wasteland besides the guy, Kelsey and Kittle. I mean, my manager's calling, but Travis Kelce and Kittle had a big week this week, but he was kind of on and off, banged up all year. But other than that, man, and Mark Andrews, those 3 guys, it's been crap, really. Like, can't feel confident in anyone. I know Walk can feel confident because he trusts his guys, but I don't. And it's been a battle all year at the tight end spot, Walker.
Listen, when you never waver, I don't have your confidence to be shaken. You trust your eyes, and more times than not, they come through.
I don't know. Is it
a lot of misses at tight end?
No, well, if you pick every single tight end in the league, Walk, it's hard to miss any. Okay.
There's some I don't like. I don't want to go down that road. I'm not a Gesicki fan. If we want to talk
That's true.
One, he's not a fucking tight end. The dude ran like 80% of his routes, split out wide. He's a tight end as much as Jordan Reed was a tight end in his heyday, but
same as Ingram. Yeah.
Njoku's starting to piss me off too. So
yeah, I sold him.
He's going the wrong way.
So I kind of jumped around all around, didn't go over the matchups or anything, kind of doing the playoff thing. But John, who did we miss today that you want to go over and give them the vote of confidence to roll in this week?
Oof. I mean, like regular guys, or are we digging? Digging for sleepers here, because this is not.
We shouldn't have to dig at this point in the year.
That's what I'm saying. This is not a fun time of year.
Well, you got guys like Alvin Kamara who hasn't done crap. Are you benching?
You have to. You can't. Could you imagine how sick you'd be if trying to get into your championship game, you're benching Kamara, and then he finally gets in the end zone? I mean,
it's been bad.
Like going through tight ends, guys that have been good lately that you probably weren't counting on. Kyle Rudolph, Jacob Hollister, Gesicki, Fant has looked good. I know he got banged up, but I think he'll be fine this week. Higbee's a guy who's emerged. So tight end's the only spot where you can hit waivers and get a guy you can confidently plug in this week.
How about Kamara was in arguably the most fantasy-friendly game of the season last week against the 49ers and did absolutely fucking nothing.
That's what I mean.
Christ, even his 4 catches were only for 18 yards. I mean, he only gets you 5.8 in the receiving game to go with those 25 yards rushing. I mean, I know the Niners are a decent defense, but Kamara has sunk teams. I don't know how many teams are in the semifinals with having Kamara on their roster because he's been shit all year. He's been hurt, and he hasn't been good since he's come back.
My son came downstairs He's in one of my 10-team leagues. Just I do with some coaches and stuff. And he comes downstairs. He has Kamara, but he went 12-2, I think, this year. And he lost in the first round. And he said something of the likes is like, "Why is Murray better than Kamara, Dad?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'll ask the fellas." So
You should say, listen to the Fantasy 40.
Kamara is still RB11 on the year. So did he live up to your expectations? No, but he still is an RB1.
I don't know how that's possible.
He has like four touchdowns on the entire year, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Was that week 1 through 3?
Pretty much.
Probably.
Yeah,
he hasn't scored since, so it has to be.
It's because he has 68 receptions on the year. He has 2 touchdowns on the season, 1 rushing, 1 receiving.
Oh my gosh.
He's found his way to just over 1,000 yards, 1,074 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns. Those 68 receptions are pretty much the equivalent of 11 more touchdowns. So,
Bet if Lamar Miller was healthy, he would beat that line.
injured Lamar Miller might have been able to beat that line.
I think so.
Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, I just threw it
Listen,
out there.
Carlos Hyde. Let's stack him up against Carlos Hyde right now. Andrew's boy, who's the volume of his way into relevancy in Houston. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, yeah, if you're still in, there's no way you can sit Kamara. You're going to roll with him, but you can't feel that happy about it. But he should have a big game at home against Indy. Saints still have stuff to play for, right? They clinch their division, but they can still get the first round.
They got to win to keep the number 1 spot.
Yeah, so they should beat the shit out of the Colts on Monday Night Football, and it should be a lot of Kamara, because who knows even if Cook plays, and if he doesn't, they're back to having that narrow pass tree again, where it's pretty much Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and no one else.
Yep, that's what. Sorry to interrupt you and throw Kamara at you, John, but did you have a guy? I kind of cut you off.
No, I mean I went through the tight ends. Those are the main guys that like we said, people that you may not be expecting to do much here. But, I mean, Marlon Mack came back from injury. Freeman came back from injury.
Looked good.
I still trust David Johnson to plug in as an RB2. He's not, the old David Johnson, but he's getting enough work, especially in the passing game. He is fantasy relevant. I think he had, 8 points or something last week for your flex or RB2. You could do far worse. We've seen it.
He had 2 targets. He caught both of them. One was like a wheel route touchdown. Like, that's not happening again. Sorry. He only had 3 carries in the game. He had 5 total touches, John. Come on, buddy. You can't do this to people who
put me on the spot.
David Johnson all year.
I'm looking for deep. I'm scraping here.
David Johnson wouldn't be my second flex player this week.
I play him over Ronald Jones.
Listen, that's a totally different insult.
Against the Lions? I don't
Tevin
know.
Coleman.
I might roll out Ronald Jones against the Lions.
If we're here to shit on Ronald Jones and Tevin Coleman, then I'm just going to have to cancel the dinner I have tonight, because that's endless. Because they're both in sweet spots, to have huge nights or huge weeks, but neither are going to have them.
All right.
Tevin Coleman got pipped by Raheem Mostert, as I said he would. Raheem Mostert is the starting running back. Braid is the change of pace guy. Tevin Coleman is the clipboard carrier. And in San Fran, they get home versus Atlanta, home versus the Rams. Raheem Mostert could win you a fantasy championship. I'm starting Raheem Mostert over David Johnson. Easy. Right? You there with me, John?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, here's the question for you.
Still
Are
reluctant
both
about
the
it.
Williamses? Sorry, are the Williamses both out for Kansas City again?
Damian Williams is back at practice. Darrell Williams is IR'd, so he's done for the year.
I think Ware got signed, no?
He did. And he
Ware got signed. He had 5 carries.
He's
11,
so terrible.
and he fumbled.
What about Darwin? What was Darwin's line?
Carrying pizzas all season.
Darwin had 4 carries for 7 yards, but he caught 4 balls for 36.
Right.
No one really did shit for Kansas City against New England, to be honest.
Mahomes
So it wasn't.
Yeah. He looks a little off. He's definitely banged up. Took one with a hand. His ankle's all effed up. So, what a bad year if you took Mahomes number 1 overall. I mean, yeah.
If you took him in this competition. Son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah. You look real smart there.
I didn't care about regression. I'm like, they'll throw 40 touchdowns. He's still going to be QB1. But, yeah, there's no one to trust in that Chiefs offense unless Damian Williams is back. If he's back, I'm firing him up right away, because those running backs have done absolutely nothing since he's been hurt. It's clear. Andy Reid was right about McCoy that you need to limit him. He should be getting a full workload. Clearly, they still don't trust Thompson. Ware shouldn't even be on the team. I don't care if he knows the playbook.
And then dynasty-wise, there's no cheaper time, or there's never going to be a time where you can get Mecole Hardman at this price. I think it's only going to rise from here on out. Looks really good, explosive with the ball. I'm going to throw that out there for you dynasty guys. I know we kind of been redraft-centric for the last, 15 weeks? Man, this time's flown by. So I'm already getting prepared for next year.
I love me some Mecole Hardman.
I'm sure do.
Trying to
read my pants on that one, Bert.
Yep, I'm on the coattails. And trying to come up with these trade scenarios before it gets too close to the draft and everyone's prices skyrocket. I got McCaffrey in a few leagues, trying to figure out what kind of king's ransoms I can get for him and pick up some of these other players. But any parting words? I'm going to say good luck to everybody out there in your semifinal matchups, and hopefully this helped you out. Walk had a good week this week. Who knows which one of the three of us will have a good week this week.
Yeah.
Listen, before we sign off, I do want to pick your brain on a few things where I want to get your gentleman's opinion. I am in the semifinals in my home dynasty league, where clearly I want to win, defend my turf. Lamar Jackson, injured quad, on Thursday night, short week against the Jets, where they are a super heavy 15-point favorite. A lot of people see that as good things. I see that as they're going to run the ball all fucking night long on Thursday Night Football. Or Kyler Murray going against those Cleveland Browns at home on Sunday is a decision I have to make. What say you?
Murray. Because the Jets are going to stack the box. I have to go Murray.
Oof. I lean Murray, but you know how I hate these single standalone games, so I would fade it more just because it's the Thursday game. But
that's my rub. It's the injury, short week.
Here's the thing: he's not going to play the full game, whether it's injury related, or they're up by 60. So it's if you want to amass points, Murray's probably got the potential to do so because if he's banged up, Baltimore's going to end up, up by 40 in the third, and he's going to get pulled anyway.
That is my large concern. And with the quad injury, does he run as much?
No.
Probably not. Could he re-aggravated if he does run? Certainly could. You're right. They should be up handily, and we're going to see a fourth quarter Robert Griffin on Thursday Night Football.
Is Greg Williams the defensive coordinator for the Jets, right? Is that his name?
Yes.
Scouted or schemed for Dak real well. Didn't let him loose. Not saying Dak is the rudder that Lamar Jackson is, but
I blame the Cowboys for that more than I blame the Jets' brain trust.
I could probably agree with you there. But what I'm saying is Greg Williams knows his stuff at the defensive coordinator. Man, he comes after you relentlessly from the Jets games I've caught. If it doesn't work, he'll just keep blitzing your ass from different areas. So that's what I would expect. Don't give Lamar, time to take that 5-step drop and chuck it down the field, or let him on the outside. So I expect a lot of pressure on the outside and up the middle, and I don't see Lamar doing much. So I'd definitely go with Kyler Murray.
You were both supposed to say Lamar Jackson. That's where this is supposed to go. Listen, he's fucking QB1 on the season. He's carrying teams, and I'm so fucking conflicted.
Gotta fade him at the end. It's like the same situation John was talking about with Alvin Kamara. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, I wish I'd have a better option. I do like Kyler Murray. I think he's in for a decent game. Cleveland's not a good team. I think that'll be a more competitive game.
Are you a favorite or an underdog? This helps make my decision.
I projected I'm a slight underdog, but if you ask me honestly, I think the teams are pretty evenly matched.
Because the upside play is obviously Lamar. So if I'm a dog, I go with Lamar. If I'm a favorite, I can afford to save a few points and take the Murray safety net.
Murray's gonna have a good one. You got to secure that rookie.
I'm in hell because last year I had a pretty good year, and then I got murdered in weeks 14 and 15. And I think I have 12 teams alive this week still.
Wow, nice.
And I'm gonna get I just feel it. I'm gonna get fucking killed.
Yeah. The good thing about it,
pressure's on. Once I get to next week, I don't even give a shit because second place usually pays in all these leagues. So I'm like, all right, even a loss is technically a win financially. So it's
you're more than making your money
this is a
back.
stressful week.
This is a tough week. Yeah, you got to get
is.
to that pay line.
Well, we'll shut it down there. I know you guys got some things to do. It was fun today doing the playoff show again. Next week's championship week, we might give you a few pointers, but I think it's time to start playing some games, giving out some awards, who was the fantasy studs and duds and all that great stuff, MVP, LVP, which is our favorite. We get to just trash the people. So definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully we can do it next week, but I will be in Florida until Saturday. So might not be next week. We might take next week off, or the guys are going to, do a recap or whatever they're going to do and record a show without me. Once again, it's been a battle for me this year, but I'm excited to get back to warm weather. It's snowing up here today, so it'll be nice. And give a shout out to the Eastern Washington 6th grade team. We got Massachusetts. We can't let New England get another championship, so we're going to put it to them, Massachusetts team.
Listen, just make sure no one's recording your sideline play calls in advance at those Massachusetts football teams.
They flew somebody over for our games from Massachusetts, and they're up in the press box recording our game.
Just do your job.
Yeah, just do your job, man. But thanks for taking a listen. Remember, go check out the Full-Time Fantasy Network, like our partners over there. Big things, articles, all of that good stuff. Find us on Spotify, Google Play. It's not even iTunes anymore. It's just podcast. The podcast app on your Apple phone.
Really?
They changed it all up. Yep. So can't even say iTunes anymore. So Apple Podcasts, Podbean, everywhere. We're everywhere. So thanks again from myself, Andrew Burke, John Dabari, and Matt Walker. We were the Fantasy 40, and we're signing off.